So, well, today I'm back at Glen Gonner Mine in Lead Hills, and we've got Jake with us again, second time in a week. My God. You got a job to go to?
Joe's looking after you.
So, the last time I was here I didn't manage to get a drone flight in this place because it was a bit wet, it was during the winter. And
alarm get up.
Is it? Jake's just realised his car alarm's gone off. Right, so we're back again. Jake was interrupted by his car alarm there. He'd left the window on, plus he was moaning that his shoes were too light, so he went back and changed his shoes. It's an absolute wimp. Anyway, we're back at Glen Gonner Mine, and we're going to get a wee flight here because I wasn't able to do it the last time, and I'm going to try and lower a camera and a light down the mine shaft here. It's got a grid over it, but we should be able to get down there and see a bit of it. I'm not too worried if I lose it. It's just a cheap camera.
Hello!
Jake, there's nobody there. It's a mine shaft.
I know, but my echo might come back to me. But it's not came back yet.
Jake, if you pee into the wind, it comes back to you.
Well, you know about that. I caught you the last time in a drone.
So I've just sent Jake on the tour of the mine, and here he is coming down the road ready to go into the mine. He'll be given a hard hat by Davy the guide, and they'll then go into the mine. I think that hat is far too wee for Jake's head, but you never know, it might fit. So that's Jake going into the mine. Give us a wave, Jake. Oh, he does. Mind your head in there, Jake. He's bound to bang his head. He's that clumsy.
They were employed as washer boys. Their job was to stand in the river outside, barefoot, and wash the galena. They would do 8 hours a day in the summer. They do 6 hours a day in the winter. You can imagine 6 hours in a freezing cold river with no shoes on. Not a great job there. When they were 12, they were promoted. They came inside the mines, and their job was to drag these big sledges of galena outside to the river. You'll notice at the bottom there's no wheels, there's no metal tracks or anything like that. They would have just had a belt with a rope attached, and they'd be walking them out by the waist. And that goes down into Thompson's Drift. So that's the tunnel that runs directly below us in that sort of direction. Just a sort of smaller tunnel that they would have dug to find all the arena. That's the original height of the mine in the heading there. This has been excavated upwards. That's the original height. The village school opened in 1750, and when the school opened, the boys couldn't be used down the mine anymore because they were all at school. So they started using tramways and pit ponies. So ponies would be going through there to pull the sledges of galena out. Unlike coal mines, our ponies were treated very nicely. They were kept up on the surface, so every morning they were brought down, every evening.
At the point I'll start scrubbing my head.
I'm going to start just by having a quick look at these rocks behind you. These are known as deads. These are basically just the waste rock from the mine. A lot of the bigger deads were taken out and used to build their houses in the village. But the smaller ones, they couldn't really be bothered to move. They tended to just stack to the side or used to fill in gaps that they didn't need anymore. Those are the deads there. In order to expose the veins of galena, the miners often had to remove big chunks of wall very quickly. And this is the first step in that process. In his left hand, he's got a chisel. That was affectionately known as a jumper chisel because it liked to jump back out of the rocky when you hit it. In his right hand, he's got a big old hammer. And what he's doing, he's chiseling little cylindrical holes into the wall, which they would plug full of dynamite to blow the wall apart. Just like the gantry, this was a two-man operation. There'd be one man with the chisel, one man behind you with the hammer. And again, like the gantry, it was done with beer in your system and in candlelight. So you're hoping whoever's behind you is pretty good aim. Towards the end of the 1700s, they started using mechanical drills. We've got one of those just along the floor here. So again, a two-man system. You're holding it up against the wall, twisting it round, and that will drill the hole for you. So that's the first step in the process. The second step we'll see just through here. Where they were digging, they would just wedge these stemples in between the walls at whatever angle they needed to, so they could climb on those. If you come this way a little bit, you can see the vein right at the top up there. There it is right at the top. So stemples very, very useful for things like this. From this point onwards, our mine was closed for 15 years without finding any galena. That meant if they were here, they weren't getting paid. So what they tended to do, they would go to other mines where they were still finding things, do some work there, and then every so often they'd come back here. So 15 years, 4 different mining companies without finding anything. And we're going to walk that 15 years from here to the end of the section so you can see just how far they managed to go in that time frame.
It's quite consistent, isn't it?
Yes.
I think it was a bit up.
Yeah.
That's the headline of this thing.
Yeah, so that's what the mining companies did. After a certain time, not finding
Yeah,
it, they were like, okay, let's sell them now. Very low levels there as well. Quite a big gap. Yeah. Yeah, from that point it would have been. So here, our vein of galena is running just behind us there, all the way along the ceiling, up into the hole up there. It goes 14 metres up and 21 metres downwards into Thompson's Drift. You can come all the way up to the pond itself.
Oh, wow. Looks nice plus.
Alright. Thank you. That go?
That's 21 metres down there.
21.
And then 14 metres up there.
So they go up just with them stembles or?
Yeah, so there's a few sort of holes like this
Right, yeah, where they wedge them
up
in.
there where they wedged them in. But yeah, they would have been all the way up there with those flimsy wooden planks.
Sorry, I'm my torch.
That's all right.
Was it always with quartz on either side, or have I got the wrong steel?
So there's no quartz up there.
No. Okay.
So this is just the galena. Quartz was a
Yeah.
separate thing that they
Uh-huh.
just would have bumped into.
Yeah.
But nothing really to do with
Yeah.
the galena. So at this point, we're about halfway through the mining system. You'll see it's been blocked in, so we can't go any further. So there's another sort of 300 metres further that way. We're currently 700 feet underground, so we're right underneath the big hill.
Oops, sorry.
He took the side because there's a drip.
There's a
I take it most of the old mines are all filled in now, isn't that for safety?
yes. There's a few that are still accessible,
Ah.
but you do have to slide in on your back.
Oh,
Nice, isn't it?
I don't know, try to walk along that.
Myself.
Oh, just like that, never mind now, Marion.
So I'm going to take a walk on. I'm going to try and get a drone shot up here if I can. It's quite a nice day for it. I just don't want it to be too many people around. This bit here looks to have been a shaft and maybe mechanism at some point in time. Shafts are usually fenced in like this and covered over. Trees planted in it now. Everywhere you look here in this town, well, village, Wanlockhead, it's just evidence of mining everywhere. I don't know if you can hear the cuckoo in the background. So I'm now walking up towards some other old workings, almost in the heart of the village itself. So, various spoil heaps here, one of which has picnic tables on top of it. Good use of it. All signs of lead mining, and even a lead mine up on top of the hill there. So there is an old winder. I think it was a well for water by the looks of it. Now, the last time I was up here was winter, and that stream was high, if you remember from the video. Look at that, completely dry. Bit of a drought here in Scotland at the moment. So this bit here was a smelting mill where they separated all the ore, gold, silver, lead from the rock. And there is the mine adit with the rails coming out. And that might be another way into the Lochnell mine, which is the tourist mine that you can actually get into. Actually, when I say tourist, it's not very tourist, it's quite realistic. They've not done too much to it. Yeah, that's definitely a mine adit. And there's the old trucks for bringing it out. Sadly, sitting, rotting. So that's self-explanatory, the Wanlockhead beam engine. Horses would have been used to work this. There's a circle there that the horses would have walked round and it would have wound up and down the mechanism on it. Almost like two pistons. And that machine was used to pump water from the lower levels of the mine up a shaft to the tunnel leading to the stream. So it's basically to stop it flooding. And there's a closer look at the piston type mechanisms. So there's another winding mechanism. It's rotting away actually. And this looks as though it may have gone down underground, obviously, and it was probably to bring the ore up, because right beside it there's a mine adit. You know, there's places up in the Scottish Highlands that are very, very beautiful, and the Scottish Highlands, you know, are the main thing in Scotland. When you're looking for scenery, you think, yeah, let's go to the Highlands. But this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to, and it's in the southern uplands. And it's just absolutely beautiful. Wanlockhead and Lead Hills, highest villages in Scotland. Yep, this could only be Scotland. Such beauty. Now, up there I'm spotting another mine adit. I'm going to have a little look at it. Yeah, not sure whether it's an adit that's been filled in or storage of some sort, but there's lots of old bits in it. I don't know if you can see that, there's a little trout just down there in the stream. You see it? See it just there? Ah, there it goes. And like I said earlier on in the video, this is part of the Southern Upland Way. So here comes Jake in the distance, fresh from his mine tour, the Lochnell mine he was in. We'll see what he has to say when he gets back.